Hello all, welcome to Embedded Linux Learning Point, the learning platform for anyone who wants to learn Embedded Linux and grow in this field. In the previous video, we've learned how to view information about files and directories. In this episode, we will learn how to create files, copy files, link files, move files, and delete files. Watch the entire video and you will reward yourself with one more drop of Linux knowledge and one step closer to mastering Linux. The first thing that you need to know when you're working with files is to create a file. To create an empty file, we can use a touch command. The syntax would look like touch and then the name of the file. So I'll create the test file, and then you can see that we have a test file here, just created. So you can also use this touch command to change the modification time. So this is done without changing the file content. So here, if you see again, I will execute touch this file. And then you can see that ls minus l, the test file. So here you can see that the time has changed. So that means we accessed the file was created at 16:05 and it was accessed at 16:06. Well, now that we know how to create a file, the next thing that we would know is copying the files. For copying files from one location to another location in file system, we need to use cp command. The syntax is cp and you can give an option and source and the destination. Source and destination are file names and the command copies source file to the new destination file. The new file acts like a brand new file with an updated modification time. So first let's create one file using the touch command. Test_1 is what I created. Then copy the test1 to test2. So as you know, there is no file called test2, which now we are copying it. Then if you do an ls, l of test question mark, question is as we saw in the previous episode, question mark is wild character. You can see that the test1 was created 16:07 and a new file got created by the name test2 using the cp command. So where the cp just copies everything from test1 to test2. Say if the destination file already exists, the cp command may not prompt you to this fact and just copies the files. To enable the system to prompt, we should use the -i option, and it asks for the input, whether you want to copy it or not. If you don't answer why, the file copy does not proceed. So let's try this. So as we know that we already have the test file, test2 here. And again, I want to copy the test1 to test2. So if I do here, it just copies it, right? So you can see that again it copied. And let's say if I add the -i option to this, it asks for the permission basically. CEP overwrite, it's asking question mark like, do we want to override the test2 because the test2 already exists. But in the previous case, without the I option, it did not prompt this. So if I don't enter anything and check again, you can see the file was not copied and the update time is the old one. So if I again execute this and give y s, it copies. Yes, you can see that the test2 has the updated time here. So that is the use of -i option. So it's always good to use -i option so that you know what you're doing. The next thing is we can also copy a file into a pre-existing directory. So here what we have done is creating, or sorry, the copying file within the same directory. So okay, next thing what we will do is we will copy the test file to home, Viresh, and the documents. We will copy to documents and see if we have the file copied. Okay, then I'll go ls and then home, Viresh, the documents. And you can see that the test file got copied. And also one more thing that you need to notice is the / in the cp command, the destination directory. The / indicates that it is a directory, not the file. So that's the use of the / and you should always use / to indicate that you want to copy it to a particular directory. Now we want to copy an entire directory to your current working directory. So how do you do it? So let's say copy, and then I want to copy the home, Viresh, and then the documents, and I have a directory called elp test here. Let me copy it, elp, and then elp has something called books. So I will copy this directory into my current directory. As you know, the current directory can be uh, mentioned with the dot. So in Linux, the dot represents the current directory. Now you see the copy is not happening because the minus are not specified. So in order to copy a directory and subdirectories, we have to use the -r option. So -r means it's a recursive copy. And now if you do an ls, we can see that books directory has arrived to your current directory. The next concept that we will see is using command line completion. It's also called as tab completion. So for example, I create a long file name, something like this is a very long file. Okay, and if you see, now we have this long file name, and in case I want to copy this file, so copy, instead of typing the whole thing, all that we need to do is this, and then I press the tab key and the shell completed. So that's the use of it. So I want to this and then press the tab, and you see the file name got appended to the command. And I'll copy it file1 and see, and if I do an ls, yes, I have two files like this, big file names. So this is very handy when you want to enter the path with big file names. Okay, next thing that we will learn is linking files. So having two or more physical copies of the same file on the file system leads to increase in size and is difficult to maintain. In order to resolve this issue, Linux provides a great option to maintain two or more copies of the same file on the system. Instead of having separate physical copies, we can have one physical copy and multiple virtual copies called links. A link is a placeholder in a directory that points to the real location of the file. So to create a link for any file or directory, we can use the ln command. The syntax is pretty simple. So ln, and it also accepts few options, and the file name and the link file name. So for it to work, the file should already be present so that you can create a new link file. Well, there are two types of links available in Linux. One is a symbolic link, also called soft link. Another is a hard link. A soft link is a physical file that points to another file in the file system. The two files linked together symbolically does not share the same content. To create a symbolic link, the original file must already exist, as I said before. We then use the ln command with the option -s to create the symbolic link. Now we have the already created test file. Let's see its presence. As you can see that this is the permissions. This number indicates links, number of links that it has. And let's create ln with an s to indicate that we want to create a soft link, and the test file is the to which we want to create a link, and then s link is the name of the link file. Okay, then I'll enter, then I'll list all these files that we have created, the new file that we created. Yes, here you can see that now there is a file called slink test file, and which indicates with an arrow that this link file is pointing to test file. And also you can see that the size of this file is 9 bytes and the size of this is test is 0 bytes. This indicates the test file is actually empty, but the link file has 9 bytes, so indicating that they're not the same. Also, to confirm that these two files are not same, we can use we can view something called inode. The inode number of a file or a directory is a unique identification number that the kernel assigns to each object. So if we see ls-i, the star test files, okay, here you can see that with ls-i option, we will be able to see the inode numbers. You can see both are different. That indicates that they are different. They're different files. Next, a hard link creates a separate virtual file that contains information about the original file and where to locate it. However, the two files are actually the same physical files. To create a hard link, the original file must pre-exist and no parameter is needed in the ln command. So let's create an empty file called test_1. Now let's create ls-l test score1, so indicates that there is only one file with the name test1. I've just added star test1. It's like anything that ends with test1 should give the listing, so which we have seen in the previous episode, how to use star and question mark. Next we will create a hard link. For creating a hard link, we don't have to use any options here, so the test1 and then the h link underscore test underscore 1. So this is the link file that we want to create. Now we can see that there are two files got created. One is hlink and the test one. Here you can see that there is no arrow mark and things like that. So that indicates that it's not a soft link. And if you see their inode numbers, I will put it here. So you can see that both the inode numbers are same. So that means that they are the same files. So next thing that we will see is moving files. In Linux world, renaming files are called moving files. So we use mv command to move files and directories from one location to another. Syntax is similar to cp command with mv as a command and then options, source and the destination. So let's list some of the test files that we have with their inode numbers. Okay, so we have two files here, test1 and test2, and let's move test1 to test3. That means we rename it the test1 to test3. and you can see that the test1 got renamed to test3. You can see the inode numbers here. This one is same as the test1. So what it means is that only the file name got changed, but nothing else. Also with the move, we can change the file's location also. So now let's move test3 file to, let's say, home, Veerish, documents, and then elp to this directory. And then you can see here that we have only the test2 file in my current directory, no test3 file. So if you see the home directory, if you list the home, Veerish, documents, and elp directory, you can see that there is a file called test3 with the same inode as test3. So here both are same. Also, one more thing we can do is we can move the file as well as rename it all in one step. So how do we do it? So move the test2 file to home, Veerish, the documents, and elp, and I want to rename it to test_4. Okay, well, now if I want to list here, you see there is no file called test2, and that file would be present in the elp directory. You can see the which is moved to test4. Obviously the inode numbers would be same. So we can also use the mv command to move the entire directories and their content. So first let's see what all the content that this home, Veerish, documents, elp directory has. So it has this content, and I want to copy the contents of the book. If you can also see the book, so it has all of this content. So now what we'll do is we'll move elp books_1 to my current directory. Yes, then now it would have copied, otherwise it would have thrown some error. Anyways, so now I will do ls-i with the inodes. You can see that books1 is also copied with the same inode, and also ls -i books_1 has the same content, 4646, and everything would be same. So that's the use of move command. Now let's see how do we delete files. So the syntax is pretty simple. rm is the command and options and the file name that we want to delete. So now we know that we have these many files. Let's just remove one file from here, rm, then the test file. Okay, and do an ls, and we see that the test file is not present. The test file, it says cannot access because no such file or directory. So this is an easy command. And let's say if you want the system to prompt whether you want delete or not, so you can always add -i option, and this time I would like to delete, this is a very long file, and say want to remove a regular empty file. Just ask you a question, and if you say yes, and if you do an ls and there is no file called, this is a very long file, what we have is the _1. So now we have removed the files. And let's say if you want to remove an entire directory structure, so all that you can use is rm with, okay, let's try to delete a directory, rm books underscore one. You see, cannot remove directory because it is a directory, so it doesn't remove directory. To remove the directory, what we can use is its minus r option can be used, and it recursively deletes the whole directory. Okay, and if we do an ls, you see the books one is removed from this directory. In this video, we've learned how to create, copy, link, move, and delete files in Linux. In the next video, we will learn how to create and delete directories. Please leave comments for any feedback or discussion. Also like the video and share with anyone who is interested in learning more about Linux. Thanks for watching.